All right, today we're breaking down the collapse of the Islamabad peace talks, and this is a big one. It's a failure that has pushed the entire world to a dangerous new precipice.
It is over. Just like that. After days of cautious hope and what were probably the most intense negotiations we've seen in decades, the talks have officially, completely failed.
So that's the blunt assessment we just got from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. I mean, he said that just moments after walking away from the table. And with those words, he didn't just seal the failure of the talks, he set this really confrontational tone for whatever's coming next.
So, Section 1, a deal is dead. And it really is. The American delegation, they're already on Air Force 2, heading home from Pakistan with absolutely nothing to show for. And because of that, well, the world just became a much, much more dangerous place.
Think about this for a second. 21 hours. For 21 straight hours, negotiators were locked in that room just trying to pull the world back from the brink. That's almost a full day of non-stop high-stakes diplomacy, and it all led to nothing.
Okay, so that brings us to the absolute core of the issue, what we're calling the nuclear red line. To really get why this failure is so catastrophic, you have to understand what was actually on the table, what was really at stake here.
You know, this wasn't just another meeting. It was genuinely historic. We're talking more than 40 years. For the first time since the Islamic Revolution back in '79, you had the highest levels of the U.S. and Iranian governments talking face-to-face. You can just imagine the weight of all that history hanging over the room.
And I mean, just look at who was actually in that room. For the U.S., you had Vice President Vance, along with Special Envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. On the other side, Iran sent their parliament speaker, Ghalibaf. But it wasn't just a two-way street. You had mediators from China, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, all working behind the scenes. And the host, Pakistan, they had 10,000 security personnel on the ground. This was a massive, massive international effort.
So after all of that, after all those people and all that effort, it all boiled down to one single, non-negotiable issue. It was this. The U.S. demanded an ironclad, absolute commitment from Iran that they would never, ever seek a nuclear weapon. And Iran refused. That's it. That was the deal breaker.
Which, of course, brings us to the price of failure. So, diplomacy is dead. Now what? What does this actually mean for the global economy, for energy prices, and maybe most importantly, what does it mean for you? Okay, let's start with global trade. The impact here was, well, immediate and incredibly dramatic. Before this war, you had more than 100 ships a day sailing through the Strait of Hormuz. But during that fragile 2-week ceasefire, only 12 ships. Not 12 a day, 12 ships total. The lifeblood of the global economy has been choked down to a trickle. It's that serious.
And this, of course, creates this extreme vulnerability, especially for Europe. Look at their gas stockpiles. They are worryingly low. We're talking only about 71% of capacity left on average. So you've got countries like Germany now just staring down the barrel of a potential summer energy crisis. And there's no diplomatic off-ramp in sight.
And look, this economic pain isn't isolated. It's being felt everywhere. Any hope for lower fuel prices in the UK? That's vanished. In places like Canada and Australia, their economies are getting hammered by oil that just will not drop below $100 a barrel. And right here in the US, questions about gas prices and inflation are getting louder and louder.
So, where do we go from here? With the talks completely in ashes, analysts are really seeing 3 potential paths forward.
Okay, path number 1 is a massive escalation. We're talking about the U.S. potentially launching strikes on Iran's infrastructure. If that happens, you could see oil shoot towards $150 a barrel, and that could easily trigger a global recession. Path 2, talks somehow resume. Now, this is a very, very slim hope, but there are a few technical staff still in Islamabad. And then there's path 3, a kind of military solution. This is where the U.S. just continues to clear the Strait of Hormuz by force. Yeah, that might lower oil prices, but it leaves the actual war to just fester, with no political resolution in sight.
And here's the real problem. Both sides think they have a strong hand, right? The U.S. knows it has damaged Iran's military, but Tehran knows it has inflicted massive economic pain on the West. It's like a standoff. An analyst at the International Crisis Group put it perfectly and chillingly, nobody is backing down, and that is the most dangerous sentence in the world right now.
So, the world holds its breath. A truly historic opportunity for peace has been completely squandered. And the path ahead? It's uncertain, and honestly, it's just filled with peril.
All right, let's just recap where we stand. It's day 44 of the war,
After more than 40 years without talks, we got 21 hours of intense negotiation and 0 agreements. It really all comes down to this. The next 72 hours are absolutely critical. They're going to determine if there's any chance left for peace, or if this whole conflict is about to enter a much, much more dangerous phase.
And that leaves us with one last and pretty provocative question. After everything we've just laid out, who do you blame for the failure of these talks? Is it the US or is it Iran? Something to think about.